Hey guys, welcome back to our channel.
Hi, welcome back.
Today we're just going to carry on doing a video similar to the one we've done in the past where it's kind of just like podcast style. We're just going to be having a conversation and sharing what's been going on in our life and about our day today.
The things we've learned and that could possibly help you as well on the way, of course.
So let's go ahead and get into it. Today, the first topic we're going to have is talking about the meditation center and the lesson that we got today. So the lesson that was being taught is about loving compassion. And during the lesson, I got a pretty big takeaway where our teacher...
and in case you're new, this is on every Sunday we go to a meditation center where there's Dharma talk and we share in our videos so that maybe it helps you in your life as well, because we get a lot of peace and calm and de-stress from these talks. So that's why we love to share this with you.
Yeah. Okay, so what I took away from the class was one of the analogies that she shared. And I thought this was really cool because I'd never heard this explained this way, because ultimately I've heard the lesson before, you know, me helping someone else alleviate their suffering is ultimately benefiting me and everyone else as well. But I, like, hearing that, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, but what does that actually look like? And, you know, what are examples of that? But she gave an analogy, our teacher today, talking about how if you step on a thorn with your foot, but you remove that thorn with your hand isn't actually being affected by that thorn, but it is alleviating the pain and that suffering from your foot. So if you just look at everyone as a whole being the body, and then the hand being detached from that actual suffering, then, you know, you're ultimately alleviating suffering while still benefiting the collective. So I thought that was a pretty cool analogy.
Interesting that Jonathan just said that you said that, because I don't remember that at all. And that's one of the things that I love about going to these things together, that sometimes he will remember something that would stand out to him that I completely missed, and then I'll remember or something that would stand out to me that he didn't see the way I saw it. And that's why going with a partner is such a more extra enriching experience, because you get to talk about it later and just brainstorm and, you know, maybe remind each other of something that you didn't notice, or you didn't understand the way they understood it, and it's just interesting. So yeah, I don't remember that
That's
at all.
so funny that you didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that at all.
Because that was like the biggest thing that I took away.
Wow, yeah.
It's funny how that works. So that was really good. I think that, I'm not sure if you remember this or not, but she also touched on how everybody is suffering from the same things. They're, you know, going through similar stuff as us. They feel the same pains as us. She didn't exactly use the words, but I think that the way she was explaining it is like, people get caught in this habit of main character syndrome, where it's like everything revolves around me. I'm the center, like my problems are unique to me, like this, everything
it's
is
my
me,
show.
me, I, like everything, so
my life event.
Yeah, so it's like people, she was talking about how people inflate everything, and she's like, you know, when something's going on with me, it's like, call the news, broadcast the news, call everybody, stop the world, like call out to the press. I'm sick, I'm hurt, like, you know, I'm feeling this. When we look at other people, it's like, oh, you know, my friend is sick, like, you know, are you even thinking about them anymore? Or if it's like, you know, a friend of a friend, you know, says like, oh, my kid is really sick, it's like, are you ever even gonna think about that kid ever again?
Yeah. She's saying, like, if, you know, if it's your family, somebody you love, you care for, and if they have bad news, like let's say if they have cancer, God forbids, then you think of them, right? And there's concern. But if it's somebody like they somewhere afar, like somebody you don't really know on the news, or
somebody's detached from you,
then you're like, oh, how sad, and then you don't think about it again. But if it's those news are attached to you, like it's you, it's happening to you, then that's when it's like, oh my gosh, broadcast to the media and like tell everybody you know. So it's interesting how our minds can really attach to concepts. Like if it's mine, like my child, then oh, they're so special. But if it's other children, even though they're also children, right? They're also precious.
And they are all special. But she was saying, like, the teacher used the example, like, talking about her child, like, seeing hers as very special, but also...
And the best.
And,
the most special.
The most special. And then she also, like she was saying how that she would have kids that she favored. She like, oh, like these kids more than these kids.
Yeah, her kids, her own children's friends.
Yeah.
There were kids that she liked, and there were some that she didn't like, and then there were.
But then hers was the best.
Yes, and then if they came home all together, she would be the most concerned about her own child. And of course, when you're watching this, you're thinking like, of course I'm going to be most concerned about my child because it's my child and I'm responsible for them. But if you think about it, they're all just children, right? Like, we're all just humans. Why is one person more special than the other just because they are mine, yours, right? And like me.
Well,
so,
it comes back to the I. Like, it's the ego. It's always your ego.
The self-grasping and the self-cherishing, and the being in the center of your own show, thinking the world revolves around you. So it's very sobering sometimes and humbling, I find, to come back to these classes and be reminded that it's good to detach yourself from that mindset of like, me, I'm the center of the universe, it's my life, it's my show. And sometimes you can think like, no, I don't have that syndrome. I don't think I'm the center of the universe. And I personally don't think I have that problem. But in the end of the day, if you catch your own thoughts, it's all about you, right? It's all about, what am I eating next? What am I gonna do with this? My clients, my business, like my partners, my children.
Yeah, and it's like,
right?
it's those thoughts, but then it's like also coupled with the emotions and then the beliefs. So though it's like the more powerful footnotes to those thoughts. So it's like my cat, my partner, my car, you have those, but then you also have like, oh, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling tired, I don't believe in myself, you have all these other things. So it's always that ego speaking for you.
Or I'm offended that somebody did something to me, because that's also taking things personal. Which is tricky, right? Because if somebody hurt your feelings or somebody said something or harmed you in any way or betrayed you, it's hard to not feel emotion around it. And I was definitely, listening to the things that the teacher was saying, processing things in my life, and was having a hard time, like, how would I not get offended, or like, how would I not get hurt, or just simply forgive the person for hurting me, like, going off me, getting aggressive. Because the teacher said if somebody is attacking you, you can just forgive and forget. But then what is the line between that and being a doormat and just accepting bad treatment, right? It's tricky.
Well, I think it's not as complicated as you're making it out to be.
What do you mean?
Because ultimately, if someone's being rude to you, if someone's being disrespectful to you, it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling is fine. You can feel hurt, you can feel attacked, you can feel any of those emotions. That's fine and that's valid because that's your experience. But it's just the way you react to them. If they're being that way, there's no need to get angry, upset, react. You can forgive them and try. It's beneficial to you to forget. Yeah. It's beneficial for them that you forgive them.
Yeah, and not judge the person.
And that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I think the part is where you're not being a doormat is if this person did this to you, you can forgive and forget, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to set a boundary with them. And that also means you don't have to stick around, or you don't have to be, if this is your friend, you don't have to be friends with them. If this is a coworker, you can bring it to your boss and say, hey, this person did this to me, I don't want to work with them. Yeah. So there's a difference between being a doormat and just allowing this person to continue that disrespectful behavior to you.
True.
Versus, hey, this made me feel really shitty, I don't like the way this felt, I forgive you for doing it. For my benefit, I'm going to forget that it happened and not hold on to, grasp to this anger and this emotion, but I'm going to set a boundary so this doesn't happen again.
So you're kind of like not really forgetting. You're just choosing to no longer be in the drama, because, sometimes what happens is that something will happen, right? Between you and your partner, you and your friend, you or your family member, and then you go and talk to everybody about it.
You get caught up in the story about it.
In the story,
and that's what I mean by
everybody. Yeah,
exactly, and that's what I mean by forget about it. Not that you're forgetting erasing the memory from your mind, but just forgetting, dropping the emotion, dropping that story that you're constantly telling yourself.
You just kept.
I don't know if you guys definitely can't see, but Mochi's over here and he's doing.
Trying to get comfortable.
He's trying to, spinning
Cleaning
around
himself.
and he's like cleaning his tail and
So cute. But yeah, I understand now. It's not like you erase, you learn from the thing and you
Yeah.
set boundaries and you respond like like not react, but you respond. And also you forget, meaning like you don't hang on to it and think about it all the time and tell everybody who would listen. Because I had like a friendship breakup this year in January, and I think, right, like January, February, I don't remember. And it hurt me, and I continued to talking to even to you about it, right, throughout the year. And I don't have to. I really don't have to. I can just forgive and forget her, honor the friendship that we had, and remember that we're all just trying, and we're all trying to figure out in life. And she's also suffering. That's the thing. I think another lesson that stood out to me, just remember that everybody's suffering. Everybody just wants to be happy, and people are just in pain too. So instead of thinking like, oh, what a demon, like demonizing people, right, or thinking they're evil, which they're not, just remember that people are ultimately good inside, and they're just hurt, and they're in pain, and they're suffering, and unfortunately that means they act in certain ways. And I can choose to remember that and honor the friendship and honor the relationships that I've had in the past, and not hang on to the things that my mind would make them bad, right? They're not necessarily bad. And I don't have to hang on to that story.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't
the
have to
forgive.
hang on to that story.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
forgive them, send love towards them, and then just move on.
Yeah. So that was a big point for me, and which also is kind of connected to what I've been working on and ads. So lately I haven't been as active on videos or work and social media. I removed myself completely because I've been working on healing my body and on healing certain health challenges that I've been having. So when we like just drop the negativity, it's so much better for our bodies, because when we're in the drama, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a bitch, oh my gosh, what a this, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like our body is stressed, right? Like just notice the energy in your body. And lately I've been meditating for like an hour to 2 hours every day. I've been doing Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations where I'm focusing on each energy centers, and I can feel myself like relaxing those energy centers, which is the point of this meditation. So I could heal, right, every center that is responsible for certain hormones, responsible for certain organs. So when we forgive and we forget and we send people love, like the energy in our bodies is way more relaxed, and it's way more conducive to healing, versus when we're stressed out, when we're bitter, when we are gossipy, when we're dramatic. That just creates so much incoherence in our bodies, so much stress, that ultimately, you know, messes up with our thyroid, messes up with our adrenals, messes up with our healing process, whatever that you're healing in your body, messes up with our sleep. So I've been very, very much aware of those things. So that's why this Dharma talk today and this topic specifically is like, I'm understanding it on a different level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, because
Yeah.
you have more of that context
Yeah, and I'm more in tune with the energies that are happening in my body.
and what your inner experience is, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So if somebody was rude to you in the store, drop it, right? Like, I send that person love. That feels so much better in your body. It's not about being almighty person. It's just like, it's honestly just selfishly better for you, and then better for your partner. Because imagine that random person was rude to you in the store. You are all pissed off while you're driving home, and then you dump into your partner or your child or your family. Then it's like a vicious cycle, a domino effect. And that person was a stranger, right? And even if they're not a stranger, a boss, just don't give them that power.
Yeah,
Right?
letting people, it's just so much control over your emotion and your reactions that like someone
Yeah.
should have like nowhere near any type of power over you in
Yeah.
that situation. And they cause a whole effect, domino effect into your own household.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or even like if it's not a stranger, like even if it's your ex, somebody who was in your life for a long time and they did some messed up stuff, right? Like, don't give them the power to ruin your present life, to ruin your present relationship, right?
That's
Like,
easier said than some stuff is easier said than done. You took a
but
big
I
jump from
think
like
no, but
somebody
I
in the
think
grocery store to someone.
because it's the same. It's like the past. Don't let the past ruin your present. It is a big jump, but it is. What I'm trying to say is that it's not just about a stranger. It's also about your ex who does not deserve you spending more time in your present. And yes, it's definitely harder, but it's worth having the intention and realizing that they're not worth it. And then from that moment, from that decision, taking the steps, because some people like, oh well, okay, the stranger, whatever, but then my ex, then they let the ex or dad who in the childhood ruin tens of years and decades of their lives, right? Like, don't let whatever shitty person happen in your life, whatever incident, ruin your present life. And yes, it's harder to forgive somebody who is your family or somebody who was in your life for a long time, but just decide so, right? And then take steps to not letting the person ruin your life by going to therapy, going to EMDR. Like, that's what I've been doing, right? I've been feeling like I still have trauma and past pain in my life, from my past life, in my body, in my current body. So I decided to take extra measures, right? Go to EMDR, somatic therapy, meditating for an hour to 2 hours a day to really heal my body and to really heal my energy centers, right? So you can do it. It takes a decision, realizing that they're not deserving of it, they're not worthy of it, and I can take my power back. I have the power to change my life today.
Yeah.
This is just a reminder. What really stood out to me is nobody is the enemy. Our minds will make them into enemy, right? Oh, my dad or my ex or this mean person in traffic. But remember, nobody is your enemy. It's your mind, and it's all a delusion. Your mind can change. You can change your mind. And what I also want to, what my intention is after this session, and also my intention has been for a while, is to stop finding faults in people. Is to remember that everybody is just trying their best, and anybody could have been my past, a mother in my past life, which is
Loving mother, right?
a loving mother in my past life, which is one of the lessons that they were teaching. And it's definitely hard to imagine that somebody who was so mean to me could be my mother in the past life, but they could be your family member. So it's just honestly better for your own karma, for your own life, to send that person blessings and not hold grudges against them. And again, we know it's easier said than done, but it's just better for your own soul and for your own life to live that way.
Yeah, and ultimately, I'm on the same subject. If you're finding faults in others, ultimately it's kind of like a mirror. Like, you're pointing out the faults in them that you sense in yourself. Okay, so I had to switch cameras so that it might look a little bit different, but we out here. So where I was leaving off is I was acknowledging that it's much easier for us to point out faults in others than to be accountable and self-aware enough to recognize those faults within ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it's really a painful process, I guess, to hear that even, but to like recognize that we are ultimately criticizing and judging others because of those exact same issues or similar issues that we have within ourselves that we are either ignoring or we're trying to work through and are having a difficult time doing that. So it kind of like, it's another thing, it's that ego, it's that pride that's projecting, it's protecting itself and projecting it onto others so it doesn't have to deal with that pain and that suffering inside.
Yeah, and it's also a way of deflecting and distracting, right? To criticize other people instead of looking into how am I contributing to these situations?
Yeah.
Or what can I improve, right? Am I acting this way? Because oftentimes when you're complaining about something, you're doing that somewhere in your life. Like, I have a friend who complains about people not reaching out to her, and then she also doesn't respond very well in text, right? Like, or like, so whenever I'm complaining about something, I'm like, always make sure, like, I think about like, am I like doing this somewhere else in other relationships, right? And So it's really good to just forgive others and try not to pick people apart, which is something.
Yeah, and I think it's more of an acceptance.
Yeah,
Not so
accepting
much,
others.
not so much of avoid picking them apart, but acknowledging and accepting, like,
Not judging people.
yeah,
Because
it's
judgment is almost like normal to judge others in our society.
well, that's like a whole video on its own, is how normalized it is to, and I'm very
Yeah.
guilty of this, to judge others, even if it's not coming from a place of like serious or contempt or
It's still
whatever it is.
unkind.
It's
It's
still
unkind.
it's still placing judgment.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things that we've already discussed this, is taking out from this thing is we're going to try and be more mindful of that judgment that we're speaking
Yeah.
onto others.
So yeah, I think it's just starting with awareness and just being mindful and just wanting like, hey, I don't want to judge others. I want to be kinder to others. I think it starts there, and just realizing that this is not kind. And you know, we can go around and talk about kindness all we want, but if we're still judging others and judging ourselves, that is unkind. And I know that I grew up personally in like a very judgmental culture, like both Russian and Vietnamese culture is very judgmental. And it doesn't even just those cultures, because you're from an American culture that can also be judgmental, right? So it's just ultimately just being aware where it came from, and just unlearning. And just, you know, if we catch yourself thinking that thought, just know that it's a thought, and I don't have to believe that thought. I
And
can
thoughts
choose
fine,
different
or
thoughts.
yeah, choose different
Yeah.
thoughts. Those thoughts in your head are okay.
You can
It's
change
it's
your
when
thoughts.
it's when you're speaking and acting on those thoughts that it becomes that reactivity. It becomes
Yeah.
that problem. It's okay to feel that thought, recognize it as, oh, this is a kind of shitty thought. I probably shouldn't say this out loud, and just keep it inside. It's just a thought. It's okay.
Yeah.
People have thoughts, crazy thoughts all the time.
We were going to talk more about what we've been up to, but this video is getting a little long, and I think we're having a lot of good juice here already. So we'll just, you know, share more as we go. But basically, we've been very focusing on my health, on my healing journey, and I've been just like doing everything to keep myself very calm, lower stimulation. And by the way, it was the best experience not to be on social media around election time. It made a whole world of a difference. Every time I feel like there's election, I feel it. I feel like the collective anxiety with social media. And this time, not intentionally, I was off social media since like beginning of October or something. I've just been off social media, and that has been the best thing to improving my health and reducing stimulation and stress for me. And then through the election, I just didn't feel any. I was honestly been living under the rock, and it's been really, really great. So if you
I came home from work the other day, and it was like 2
days after.
2 or 3 days after the election. She goes, "Why didn't you tell me who became the president?" And
Yeah,
I'm like,
like-
"You don't." I'm like, "You don't know?"
My client told me, and I was like, oh, I've been living under the rock, and I have no shame about it because I'm taking care of myself. So if you're feeling stressed out, not sleeping well, overstimulated, you're healing whatever it is that you're healing, I highly invite you to get off social media. It feels really, really good.
I would say just get off of devices.
Yeah,
If
I mean-
if you're feeling overstimulated, all I'm trying to say is that I've heard this a couple times in different podcasts, how our brains actually are, I mean, we talk about this, how we use affirmations in my app to rewire your neural pathways, you know, create new neural pathways and rewire your brain to think more positively. When we're constantly consuming, you know, social media, we're looking at our phones, we're watching Netflix, we're watching YouTube, whatever it is, we are rewiring, we're creating neural pathways in our brain that are like wired up in that specific way, and we need to detox our brain from that dopamine, detox from that constant hit of things happening all the time, because it really messes with our brain and our well-being.
And seeing all other people's lives, it's just naturally you're going to start to compare. You are going to be overstimulated, and it is going to impact your nervous system and your mental health. So that's been really great. And I've just been working at home, like and seeing clients, makeup clients, coaching clients still. So if you need help, and it's like the holidays are coming up soon, and I know it's gonna be very tricky for some people, I'm here to support you. If you need support, I'm still available for that. and we'll drop the link below for a consultation. First session, always free. And yeah, I can't wait to meet you guys and chat more. And yeah, that's kind of what we've been up to, like just living a slower life and being more in our own lives versus online, and just doing everything I can to be present, relax, and regulate my nervous system, heal my body, and yeah, and still working with clients that are there. And Jonathan has been also supportive of my healing, and we've been meeting people, meeting friends.
Yeah.
Just
Good stuff.
yeah,
We'll
being
catch
in
you
our
guys.
lives.
We'll catch you guys up more in another video where we can talk about everything that's been going on. So,
Thank you for sticking around and being patient with us.
thank you guys. Go ahead and click the link down below. Download my app if you want to schedule a consultation with Anne for some coaching. See if she's a good fit. Click that as well. Also, go ahead and check out the website that we have. There are some blogs on there about wellness in general, affirmations, meditations. We've got a new website up, so go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and we will see you for the next video.
See you guys next time. Thank you for watching.
Bye.